Hello and welcome to Now Spinning Magazine with me, Phil Aston. On this episode, I'm joined by the lovely Sue Aston. And this is, as promised, another instalment of our Cool Classics series. In fact, is this the beginning of Cool Classics or is it the second one if we count Nigel Kennedy?
I think it's probably the first one.
Oh, okay, it's the first one. And the idea behind this series is like a taster, a beginner's guide to those of you curious about classical music. And what Sue is going to do in each of these is introduce us to three pieces of music.
Go three?
Did I? Yeah, I think I did, yeah.
Off to a good start.
Three pieces of music for you to go off and listen to, stream, or maybe even go further and buy an album either on CD or vinyl. So, Sue, what have we had for the three pieces of music? Three composers. What is it, albums? Explain.
Well, I think really, I just want people to who think that classical music isn't for them. I just want them to give it a try because I think there's just so much stigma about different types of music, isn't there?
Yes.
And actually, classical music is only really a short period of time from 1750 to 1820, she said, looking at her notes. And that is the period when Haydn and Mozart were composing music. So all the other times you will have heard an orchestra playing by other composers, chances are it's not strictly classical music. But I think the fact that, you know, it's orchestras playing or choirs singing, classical music just gets lumped as being called classical music.
Can we just touch on that then? Can we just, because obviously
how much time have you got?
No, because a lot of people will think that when they think of classical music, it just means it's an orchestra, or maybe like composers like Philip Glass, for instance, or Max Richter. Oh, that's classical music. In fact, if you look at the classical music chart, those are the people who are in it, but that's not classical music.
Well, they're really contemporary composers, aren't they? Because they're still alive. Some of them might write in a neoclassical way, but classical music is just that short period of time. Okay,
well, we're all here as students for Sue here, so this is teach us in the ways of classical music, Sue. What is going to?
I think there's a lot of snobbery about classical music, and to me, music is just music, and I just want people and. When I was growing up, I didn't know what classical music was. I just knew it was just music I was listening to. And then I'd go and listen to something else, you know, all different styles.
Well, yeah. I mean, for someone who's probably in their 20s or earlier, when you say the phrase classic rock, people will say, when does that begin? Or when does that start or end? And what happens if you're playing rock music now? Are you still classic rock band? You're not, are you? Because you just think I'm playing new music. Anyway,
these things can put you off.
They will. So what do we have first?
I want to share with people just some music that I really enjoy and that they might like to go and have a little listen. So I thought out of the three that I've chosen today, I'd do it in chronological order to help give a sense of perspective of when it was written and that sort of thing. So I'm going to start with Allegri's Miserere. Shall I hold it up? You're the expert.
I'll take it into the camera.
So this is a recording that I'm listening to at the moment. The choir of King's College, Cambridge, conducted by Sir David Wilcox. This apparently is a real classic recording because it's kind of like legendary. But I have heard other recordings, and the tape that I used to listen to as a teenager was by somebody else entirely. But this is what I'm listening to at the moment.
And the other reason why it's so good that you're here, Sue, is because I would have no chance of pronouncing any of this correctly. Okay. As many of you know, I struggle with certain names, and I wouldn't have a clue. But this is a very special recording. It's, for me personally, obviously being with Sue, and she's introduced me to lots of classical music for her extensive collection. There's something that's very evocative about just the human voice. In somewhere like a cathedral, with no other backing at all. It's very
pure, isn't it? No auto-tune.
Nothing.
You've just got to get it right.
Just lots of people all singing together, coming together to create something that literally stops you in your tracks. It's, you know, whether you see yourself as a spiritual person or not, when you hear music like this, what's that phrase?
Gregorian.
That's another word I can't say. You say that word. I can say the word chant.
Cheeky.
Because it's something very relaxing and uplifting.
It takes you somewhere else entirely, doesn't it?
Even though the language used is Latin, isn't it? It doesn't matter because your heart understands the language of the message.
Yeah, you tune into it, don't you?
Yeah.
So Gregorio Allegri is the composer for this. Now, he was writing in the Renaissance / early Baroque period, so 17th century, when the Miserere was written. And he was a chorister in Rome. And he wrote the Miserere, which is a setting of the words from Psalm 51. He wrote it to be performed in the Sistine Chapel during Holy Week, which is the run-up to Easter, which we are in now. So it's actually very topical.
At the time of doing this
recording.
So if it's Renaissance, is it like Renaissance music?
It's kind of very simple, plain song.
Would Richie like it?
Richie Blackmore would love it. And it's the kind of music that I just used to absolutely adore when I was growing up. And it's for like an unaccompanied choir, which kind of splits off into 2 or 3 groups. And it's like a kind of question and answer, that kind of thing. Like one choir will sing something and they'll be answered by the other choir. And there's also a boy treble singing, and he has to hit a really high top C, which is incredibly high.
Very high.
Very high.
Very high.
But because the music is all about asking for mercy, do you want to know a little bit about the music?
Tell us.
The words are about?
Yes,
so
tell
it's
us.
David, who I think was King David in the Bible. He had an affair with Bathsheba and killed her husband, apparently. So that's not funny. But in the Miserere...
Sounds like a good drama series.
Sounds like a good drama, yeah. In the Miserere, he was like really asking for God's forgiveness for doing such a terrible thing. But I think that kind of pain and suffering and regret really comes through the music. It reflects the words. But it's also uplifting at the same time. It's being sorry for what you've done and being hopeful that, you've atoned for being bad.
But you can listen to this without knowing any of that, because I didn't know any of that.
Actually, I've just recently looked into that.
All I knew was you put this music on, and it just changes the atmosphere of the room completely to whatever you're thinking, whatever you're going through. You put this on, it's
incredible.
It kind of cleanses the room that you're in, and you just close your eyes and you're in a totally different, peaceful place.
Incredibly angelic, actually. And there's a wonderful YouTube video of King's College, Cambridge, performing this sort of candlelit in the college. Whereas it's like a church, isn't it?
Yeah, there's trillions of candles. Trillions of
trillions.
Them.
So that's my first one, is Allegri's Miserere. Give that a listen. Next, we're moving swiftly on to Vaughan Williams' A London Symphony. Now, this was written in 1913, so a lot more modern. Vaughan Williams is a British composer and kind of wrote in the romantic style. That means lots of gorgeous tunes and rich melodies, just gorgeous harmonies. And Vaughan Williams was also very much inspired by English folk song. He used to collect them and use them in his music. So the London Symphony, it really evokes the feeling of almost like a whole day in London and the different kind of sounds that you might hear. So I would recommend the first and second movements, particularly the second movement, which will transport you somewhere else entirely. The music starts very calmly, doesn't it? Because I've made you listen to it.
No, but I like this one anyway. There's a thing about a lot of people who kind of raised on rock music kind of are drawn towards certain composers, and Vaughan Williams is one of them. It's very pastoral, very English, very dramatic, very visual, isn't it?
Well, he did write music for films and stuff.
Yeah. Do you know any films off the top of your head?
Oh, you do. He does. He knows.
Do I?
I thought you did. Can't think off the top of my
I
head.
don't at all. All I know, it's in D minor, which is Nigel Tufnell from Spinal Tap used to say is the saddest of all keys to write
Are you
music
sure
in.
D minor, not G minor
So
or
it says, look.
No, but I mean the saddest of all. No, that's not that one. That's the Symphony
Oh.
number 8. Ignore. So it's a London Symphony.
Okay.
This,
Okay. No, but this is because this came from a set of Vaughan Williams music.
Yeah.
And this is the one when I went through them all that I felt I was drawn the most to. I do think it's, can I say it's very lyrical?
Yeah.
Yeah, even though it's got no words in it.
No, lyrical is a thing.
Yeah. No, it is a beautiful piece of music.
Well, you can imagine the day beginning, dawn is just about to break and it starts very peacefully and you hear the sound of the Westminster chimes played in the harp, which is like, the day's beginning. And then it gets quite lively, doesn't it?
Yeah, did you say it was a part of London? Did you?
Yeah, particularly the second movement, which I think is my favourite movement. It's Bloomsbury Square on a November afternoon. That's what Vaughan Williams had in mind when he was writing the music. And he uses his love of folk song in this because, do you know that scene from Oliver when they're doing the different chants and the cries for the selling the lavender and the roses?
Who will buy?
And all that? Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Vaughan Williams in the second movement uses the kind of the musical theme for someone selling lavender. And it's played in the viola.
So it's one of those kind of London squares with the gated garden in between the houses. And it's kind of like they're probably lighting the gas lamps.
Exactly.
And there's a reflection of rainwater in the roads. Yeah. Am I painting it?
You're definitely doing that. Yeah, so you get this beautiful melody coming in on the viola. And then different woodwind instruments take it up. And you've also got the sound of a hansom cab, those old-fashioned horse-drawn cabs, like the jingling of the bells. It's absolutely beautiful. Please do, especially listen to the second movement. And there's another couple of movements, all very fast and dramatic, and then it ends very, very peacefully and calmly. Again, you've got the Westminster chimes coming in to signify it's the end of the day. And, it's just beautiful, isn't it? I played this when I was at music college and the conductor was Adrian Leeper, I seem to remember. And I think I was trying not to cry all the way through the second movement. It's very emotional.
Great stuff. So, what's next?
Finally, we're moving on to 3. Shostakovich. Would you like to hold up?
Yes.
And it's the Piano Concerto number 2. This was written in 1957, so more modern again. And when you heard this, I'm particularly talking about the slow movement, the second movement of the second piano concerto, because when you heard it, you've heard Shostakovich before.
Well, I'm actually, because what I'm holding up, it says the piano concerto number 2, but obviously in the larger font it says Symphony number 5,
which I love.
But if you know Shostakovich, or you're not used to Shostakovich, normally it's very big, bombastic, almost thunderous.
It's very stirring.
It's very stirring stuff. Yeah, it's very stirring stuff. Very almost warlike, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
But this particular one, the piano concerto, isn't like that at all.
Especially the slow movement.
In fact, those of you recently who've been watching me, I'd mentioned composer Colin Townes, his name rose up through the Ian Gillan band, but he obviously is now better known as a film composer, everything. And there are elements of it, which is typical of me. Okay, well, it sounds like Colin Townes, that bit. Obviously, because Colin Townes has been listening to Shostakovich. But it's that kind of almost really gentle,
it's very
atmospheric,
gentle. Beautiful
melodies of literally like piano motifs just floating in the air.
And you feel like you've heard it before, didn't you think, when you heard it?
Yes, I did.
The first time I ever heard it, I thought, I'm sure I know this from somewhere. And I did play it at college. It was beautiful. He wrote it for his son Maxim to play when he was 19. And the whole concerto is a training piece for young, concert pianists. And I do have a memory of playing this at Pebble Mill Studios with Moira Stewart,
Oh,
the newsreader. When I was in the Midland Youth Orchestra, we played it and we were on the radio and she introduced it. That was very exciting.
excellent.
So those are my top 3 for now.
So those are your first, for this first series
Yeah.
of cool classics. These are the 3 we're going to send off for people to use their homework to go and listen to these and let us know
what you
in the
think.
comments.
Because there's a
what
broad
you think.
spectrum there. You've got unaccompanied choir singing very beautiful sacred music. And then you've got a full-on symphony.
Yep.
And then you've got, like a concerto for a solo instrument with orchestra.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Sue.
Thank you.
So if there's a specific composer or piece that you'd like us to explore more, or it might be something you've heard in a film or whatever, just let us know in the comments, reach out to us, or you can email us via the website as well. And we'll see what we can do with future episodes of Cool Classics.
Cool classics.
With Sue Aston.
Ah, thank you.
So thank you, everybody. And remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Keep spinning those discs. And, of course, try and find these, stream them, and try and get them on CD. Or probably CD will be easier than vinyl, I imagine, but who knows? And remember, we've got a merch shop now. You can buy T-shirts and mugs and hats and all sorts of things. And if you become a patron or YouTube member, you can also then get access to our private Facebook group and WhatsApp group and come along to our own virtual pub called the Now Spinning Arms, which meets up twice a month. But thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And again, reach out if you'd like to ask us any questions. And we'll see you
Next time.
next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.